One of the things I personally struggle with when making content is not knowing exactly the problems I should try to solve. I do my best, but oftentimes there's so many complexities when it comes to using AI art tools, Photoshop, the whole 9 yards, everything. But oftentimes I wonder what the best way to approach it is. A lot of times I just hard log on a particular problem and hope to God that I can signal it to the YouTube algorithm that someone who needs it can find it. But this kind of video, the one you're watching right now, is more for you. People who are already in our community who hopefully believe I can help them in some capacity. And if what you're seeing on screen looks somewhat interesting to you or useful, that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be trying to challenge myself live to create a kind of album-like cover. This shows you the idea of what you can do with actual control over AI art, rather than just outputting a bunch of random nonsense into a prompt box and hoping to God you're going to get something that you want out of it, or worse, just outputting 1,000 results and then picking the one that kind of looks okay. You have no control, you have no autonomy, you have no vision for what you actually want to pull into reality. This is where I think there's a division between a lot of AI models that just kind of spit out anything and you kind of giving it an idea of what you want, where I think the actual power is where you actually have control over your image. And by utilizing a bunch of techniques, I'm hopefully going to be able to show you what that looks like today. All right, so the first thing I want to show you guys is actually something I call patchworking, or patchwork. Basically, it's by going online, finding images that are relevant to whatever kind of composition you want, getting them, basically capturing the control net of them, the overall line control net of them, and then moving that in whatever positioning you kind of want. And then you just add a bunch of contextual cues to so the prompt knows whatever that is. So if you say, like, if it can tell usually when there's something else like a wizard hat or something like that. So when you type in girl with wizard hat, it'll probably know that that's what that is, and things like that. But basically, it's a way that you could not be like limited by prompting or by live paint if you happen to be artistically inclined. But there's a way that everyone can kind of get around this just by basically looking at structure and lines, rather than trying to prompt so that it gets the right alignment of a sword pull or a clash of weapons. I'll probably make a video about this more in the future. But alas, that's the first method I want to kind of show you. So alas, let's get into it. All right, so first things first, I'm debating whether I should use what we generated last time with this fantastic model in LoRa. This was the model that we used last time. We showed it off and it's absolutely fantastic. Gives you a really, really cool art style. Great for profile pictures, I think, as well as this kind of rock and roll aesthetic that I think looks really, really cool. Just in case you didn't see that video, everything from this to this to this to this to this. So first things first, I think I will bring her into this. She's the one person that I first generated, and I thought she looks pretty cool, so we will actually use her quite a bit. We're going to put her basically right down here, offset her off the thing, maybe like that, maybe like this. All right, so that's one of the characters. Great. We're looking for composition, something that looks kind of cool. Put that in there. Yes, yes, yes. Don't worry, this will all work. We're basically just hunting for lines, all right? It may look like we have chaos here. We do. You're right. Okay. So now we have our overall composition that looks okay. But now all we're really after is the alignment, or like the lines, sorry. So all we need to do is basically blend and blur everything until we get things to pop through. So this is our very bottom layer. So we want this one first. We'll add a mask to that. And we just want to take away some of this color until we can actually start to see all the things that we want. Again, we just want the actual lines. So this needs to be in view. This can also go away because we would like to see some of that. That doesn't really matter. We can bring that back if we wanted. Hit the wrong button. Anyway. All right, now we are going to do this. It's going to look a little scuffed, but don't worry about it. Boom. We'll do a control net. So as you can see, things are okay, but not great. This is a little bit not, I don't think the AI is going to be able to interpolate what that is. This is good. This not so good either. All right, so all I've essentially done is give a prompt to each person. So what do you call it? I think I said girl, guitarist, wizard, etc. with the hat. Hopefully it works out. And I did the same thing for each one of these. But we do have some things we need to address, like these sharp lines. So this is simple as just doing this, making sure you're on the actual control net itself. You cannot do a paint layer because it's only able to focus on one layer itself when you actually are highlighting this right here. So all we're going to do is basically paint those out. We're going to use hard. We're not going to basically fade these. We're going to actually use a hard thing like that. But alas, now that looks significantly better. Again, we could get more clarity here, which would absolutely help. But let's see if it can interpolate enough. Okay, that's not, we can work with that. Again, like I worried, the two that were less involved were in fact scuffed a little bit. So as you can see, our initial layout wouldn't have actually worked. This is not enough context for it to understand what's going on here, nor with this. This one, yes. This one, definitely. but not enough context in these two. So all we're going to essentially do is we're going to blow up those things again like this, and then we are going to hit a control net, this button right here, boom, and then we are going to basically have this, which actually we can use. This is enough like information lines for it to understand that's a person, that's a face. And then this is the other one that we did as well, which was the singer. We also did a render of that one. We actually rendered that one, but you don't need to do that. I just overkilled it and did that, alas. But this, we can then just move back down to where we want it. Its overall positioning, which is about right here. And that other one has already such good lines that we are basically good. I don't even need to worry about it. But then we're going to add all of these, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did when it comes to fading all of the excess out. All right, now we can do one final pass, which will show us all of those details. Boom, you can see everything is much more sharp, much more clear. Fantastic. I'm curious how it will handle this. But now that's actually marked and selected as our main one, which is the top control net liner. As soon as you hit this button, it will always prioritize that one's next in its sequence. So now we're actually going to shotgun blast this, and we're going to hit a couple. We're going to probably shoot out, I don't know, let's do 3, but let's add one thing that I noticed when I did my first couple renders, which was ones like this, which we need to give it a theme. So we're gonna say red and gray theme. See how that goes. And let us see. Okay, this is a little bit of a mess up. I think it's trying to do a microphone, but alas, it's a weird microphone thingy. Which is, hey, we can subtract that, but that's pretty okay. This we need to do some work on because it's not gradienting well. It needs to be more inspired there. This, honestly, a whole real moody vibe. This is like a Grim Reaper type, and it's flowing into the witch playing. That's pretty fucking cool, dude. That's pretty cool, if I say so myself. All right, real quick. This was the other one, by the way, a little bit much, but this actually worked really well. So what we can do here is basically just need to fix this part. This part I actually don't mind. We can actually blow this up to mask this and a little bit of this, but I don't like this. This part isn't actually just not, it doesn't work at all. So we are going to basically do one of these. We don't want any of that to not be considered. We just want to add some hair right here, essentially, and see if we can actually make that work. So what we want to try is we want to actually just try decreasing the level of strength that it has. And we do want to fill, but we don't want to do max fill because sometimes it will replace way too much. We want to drop there about 70 and see if it will basically fill this in. If not, we're going to have to do some heavy lifting here. And probably we'll just do that already, just because I imagine this is, once you play the game long enough, you kind of realize some stuff just doesn't really work like you want it to. All right, so yes, we're just going to add in some more hair coloration here to make sure, yeah, 80 should be enough to mask that. Well, whenever you add blur like this, you need enough strength to recompile those pixels. Otherwise, it will just leave it blurry. Boom, we got it, good enough for me. All right, then we go over like here, we do it this way, we do this. We can now blend. Now we can blend this stuff together. She's got the head. All we need to do is just get that damn beautiful guitar coming on through. We have this? Good. Go. If we really wanted to fight for every inch here, we could. Or what we're probably going to do is already just keep this overall composition anyway. Now, so overall, I'm pretty happy with this. Now, I would probably, well, I'll do the thing I said I was going to do. This I like, but we're going to need to make this a little bit better. So what we're going to do, all we're going to do is go ahead and make a duplicate layer of everything that's on screen right now. Then we are going to mask it and only basically get her in there. We want all that to be gone. We want all that to be gone. We want all that to be gone. Good. Now, we are going to basically take this and make this significantly bigger. Like this. And then we're going to lower her down significantly to kind of mask out a lot of those things. And to me, that looks significantly better composition wise, like overall structure. I think that looks much nicer. All right, cool. Now this first method wasn't exactly to show you the rock and roll like album look. That's much easier to do. You'd probably just have a centerpiece and have a bunch of dead space around it, which we'll likely do. But this was just something to show you that you basically can take any sort of image online, like any sort of Google images, and basically grab it, give a control net of it, make sure it's fully blown up so you get the most amount of detail possible. Then you throw it into, of course, just any composition that you find is interesting, and then you just re-render it in another control net. That way it's all the right alignment. Then you hit go, and then it'll overall have a lot of the lines that you're looking for, and then you can put in a bunch of these stylistic metrics. So right now, all of this composition is exactly what I wanted. So if I do this, now our control net will be significantly better. It can easily discern that that's a face. It can easily discern this is a girl playing guitar. And if it doesn't, then we can always fade in our original one, which this one looks pretty sick, into whatever we're doing next, right? And of course, this one looks normal. This one is kind of weird. This one kind of, I liked what it did with the weird smoke drum feeding into this girl, this wizard playing the guitar. Very crazy. But there's one more thing I want to show you that you can do, which is pretty cool, but it's a lot more simplified than what we did. We're just going to use some of the characters we already have from our previous renders. Perfect. Let's go. It's really simple. All we're essentially going to do is we're going to use one of our existing characters, and then we're going to put that in the middle, and then we're going to go on Google Images and find like effects and particles and things like that, and you will see how much of a massive difference this makes. So let's get to it. All right. So we're back in Krita AI. All right. So I kind of like this one. We're going to keep using that one just so there's some kind of common through thread. So we're going to basically go over here. We're going to make this much smaller, and probably going to put a background in this. That's just a normal fill layer, just so that it is white, so that we can see everything clearly. We're going to put this in the center. So we want to have this here. So he's going to be our main subject. Probably want her a little bit high, and then we're going to put text kind of right here. Little rudimentary diamond right here, kind of a little scuffed, but alas, it's fine. All we wanted to do is that, and then we want to go in here and just paint all of this in. The reason why we're doing this is because if we're going to ever do text, we're put it right here, but that's a whole video in itself. That's actually one of the main like holy grails of AI art, is using getting text to actually work properly. And there's a lot of tricks you can do to make it work, but it's not to be too much for this video. I want to show you guys too much in this one. So we're just going to have that. Now we want to add fun, different mechanics that we could actually have in play. So let's get something as classic as a thunderbolt. Okay. All right, so I just got a lightning bolt from Google. Super simple, just typed in lightning bolt, and that was one of the things that popped up. So we just want the lines from this, so it's actually totally fine that it is white like this. We can just do this. We can also mess around with the shape. It doesn't need to be perfect. Anyways, now we want to go and find something more fun, like a firework. Honestly, this would work too. All right, so this one works really well, I think. Let's go ahead and grab that one, copy. So now we have a couple of these things, and they should be able to work and sequence. Okay, because these have a white background, it's really easy to fix this. We're just going to filters. We're going to go to color. We're going to go to alpha. And we're just going to not really worry about it too much because we're only really after the line. So we just want it to get kind of slightly out of the way, right? Same thing with this one, filters, colors, alpha, turn down so it's not as intense. So it gets some of the stuff through. Fantastic. All right. So I know this looks messy, but this is the kind of complexity that kind of comes with knowing this stuff, because all you're after is lines and structure. So it may look messy, but if we go ahead and render this through a control net, such as this, now you can see it looks a lot more interesting. It looks like, okay, now it looks like behind her is this giant explosion, and it's even cropped still. Now, the one thing I could help with and add is I can actually blend this border out, but let's actually keep the border just for right now. But let's render this a few times and see if we can actually make something work. And again, the reason why this is the way it is because that's where the text of the rock band, like metal steel logo would look like. It just would require too much time for me to do that right now. So essentially all I've added is some like things like bright cascading light, a badass atmosphere, lightning bolts, electricity effects, explosion effects, ambient light, heavily stylized, all these things. So now we are going to essentially turn off this so that we get some of the light and the coloration, so it kind of gets a read on that. I'm curious to see what it'll do with the white. Let's render that once at the highest level of control net usage, which is this, and then all the way up to about 90, because that should basically rein it in quite a bit. But now we should be able to see something quite unique. Now, the only thing I think I might have to do, and I'm just gonna do it preemptively, which is this, I need to take away, I think, that right there, fill layer, we want it to be black just so we have that going. And then, yes, I also erased the border of this just softly, just so it's not as adherent, because it will adhere immensely to that, I believe. So we do this one more time. All right, so real quick, these are our results. This is the first one that had the border on it. Again, not great because the border looks a little weird. I mean, if you added depth of field to this and zoomed in, it actually wouldn't look terrible. But if you use this one isn't just another rendering with the border still applied. I actually like this one a lot more. It just looks more normal with the hair and everything and all that stuff. With the, again, this little thing right here would be where the actual font would go. The border is still there, but this time it's not nearly as intrusive. And again, it is misperceiving that like black border was actually her clothes, which it wasn't. It is just meant to be where the text would eventually go. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is what I was kind of trying to show you guys, that but just by simply knowing lines like the lightning bolt, like the explosions in the background, like all those things can basically massively give the AI context for what you're actually trying to do. And it can help fill in those spaces much more and get closer to the idea that you actually want. Actually allowing you to take a character that you have, like a cool character that you've created, and actually put them behind any kind of like particle effect or a compositional thing that you think is really neat, like a mountain in the background, a dragon face screaming behind you, whatever. The sky is the limit. I'm just so freaking pinched for time right now, which is driving me nuts. You have no idea how much I want to improve this. But I need to lock in. I got more videos I need to show you guys. So alas, probably expect an update on this kind of thing over at our school post. If I have time to actually make this a little bit better, I probably will upload the post there. I hope that helped in a different kind of way. It's not as precise into a particular kind of problem, but it shows you how you handle a problem when you have this kind of skill set of knowing how different things play with different variables when you're using AI art. One of the things I would highly suggest is the patchwork method, just because it's really useful. That's essentially what we're kind of doing in some capacity to basically create the background that we want. An explosion created with explosion lines can have the AI understand, oh, that's an explosion, gotcha. Let me fill up that where that's going to be. Oh, you wanted a lightning bolt. Okay, well, I need to know where a lightning bolt would go. So if you use line art or a control net line art to show that the lines over there look like a lightning bolt, it's going to know where to put that. And if you add beautifying metrics, which is something I didn't really have time to do, but you would absolutely could do, is you just stack a bunch of things like beautiful lighting, cascading light, vibrancy, dark and red theme, or whatever it could be. And that could add so much more value. Also, I didn't lean a lot into the metal album cover. I could probably lean much more into that and get more of that out of it, but I kind of wanted to show you the things I think are more valuable here, which is the idea that you have so much control at your fingertips. And it's always the thing I think that's the limitation with AI stuff, because you can tell it something and it will give you something that maybe is what you want, but the actual power I think comes from actually being able to say, no, this is exactly what I want and this is how I can get it. Alas, ladies and gentlemen, if you want any of the models or LoRas that were used in this video, which is this fantastic one that we used last time called Troy's Art Style, it's a LoRa. If you head over to our school community and you take the name of this video and you plop it into the search bar, you will find that entire link dump from all of the LoRas, linking you to civitai.com. The reason why we can't do that is because Civitai has a lot of interesting content on it that YouTube might not agree with. So alas, we need to have some sort of brace in there via that. Alas, I hope that helps dearly. There's also a free course over there, as well as a bunch of posts, as well as S-tier resources, a whole tab dedicated to that, and of course, this thing I made called the AI Artist Arsenal, which is filled with a gambit of things I won't bore you with, but alas, I think they're pretty good. Hopefully you check it out. Thank you kindly for your time, and goodbye for now, my friends.